Gamesense is one of the main pillars of improvement in Counter-Strike, but how do you improve it without sinking thousands of hours into playing game after game after game? I'm Aston, and in June of this year, I was sitting at around 900 elo in level 3 Faceit. 6 months later, and I'm currently 2.3k elo, and I'm making this series to try and teach people the road to improvement the fastest way you possibly can. If you want to hit your goal as efficiently as possible, make sure you pay attention to this video, and if you learn something new by the end, consider subscribing. This would help out a bunch and you'll be the first to know when I drop a new video. Counter-Strike is a game of information. Much like chess grandmasters can notice patterns and gain information over the board, Counter-Strike professionals do the same thing, and do it so well that you probably don't even realize that they're doing it. Unlike chess, Counter-Strike is what is called an imperfect information game, meaning that the information available isn't always complete. To make this guide as simple but concise as possible, I'm going to split these types of information into 3 groups: visual, audible, and a third type which we are going to call potential. Visual is the #1 most important type of information. This includes examples like your radar, your health, utility thrown by enemies, etc. Some examples of audible information are enemy footsteps, doors opening, and the bomb being planted and defused. The third type of information I'm going to touch on today, which I've not seen a name for so far, is potential information. This can be a wide range of different things like defaults for map setups, noticing patterns, and the most obvious one being when your teammate calls that there might be a person somewhere. These would all be considered potential information. It's time to test your knowledge of information. This will help gauge how much time you should spend to improve certain aspects of your game sense. Watch this clip of Donk and a Faceit pug and try to tally how much information you can see, hear, and assume. Once the clip is finished, I will come back and we can tally how many pieces of information you got right.
Two sides. Side. Hey, bomb. Nice try. AVP ramp.
Ramp and boost.
Two sides. Side. Hey, bomb. Nice try.
Out of the 10 possible pieces of information that I could gather from this clip, if you didn't manage to catch at least 8, then this video might be perfect for you. In this part, I'm going to go more in depth with the fundamentals of visual information, what it encapsulates and what it means for every round. The #1 most important piece of advice I can give, especially to people in lower elos, and people with the excuse that none of their teammates give any info, is to always be paying attention to your radar. If your radar in game looks like this, I'm going to show you a way to change it to instantly improve your game sense with just a simple setting. First, go to settings, click game, then radar, and copy these settings. Radar HUD size and background opacity can be changed to your personal preference, although I would suggest having your radar HUD size relatively big so you don't have to move your eyes so much to see the whole radar. Whenever you're in a round and you're in a safe environment, this can be while reloading, while holding something with a teammate, and especially during the start of the round if you're playing slower than your teammates. You should always be paying attention to the radar. The radar in CS2 shows 5 main things: the positions of teammates, spotted enemies, the bomb's location when spotted, the last known location of enemies, and where gunfire occurred. As you can imagine, these 5 things are incredibly important in your ability to win rounds. Let's say, for example, you're playing a 2 versus 2 and your teammate just died somewhere that you weren't able to see. Your first instinct should always be to check the radar. If they were able to spot any enemies before they were killed, and you are focusing on something else entirely, you may have just missed crucial information that could win you a round. Another fact about the radar is that you can actually see what information you're giving the enemy for free. When you make footsteps, land after jumping, or knife the air or a wall, a circle around your player marker will show you where on the map the audio cue can be heard from. This information can be incredibly valuable in games, and I urge you to be more conscious about this feature. There are many types of visual information in Counter-Strike other than your radar. Because I want to keep this guide concise, I'm going to list them here and only go into detail on a couple of the most important things. On some maps, you can actually use shadows to your advantage. The most prominent one is on this spot in Temple on Ancient. You can see the enemy's shadow way before they peek you and can be extremely useful in retake scenarios. Let's say you only see an enemy for a split second, like being jump spotted or somebody jiggle peeking. You need to be able to see the shape of the player model and notice what type of weapon they're going to be holding. The scoreboard is host to a lot of great information about the enemy's economy. You can see the loss bonus that a team will be on, how many people died in a round, and also how many rounds in a row a team has won or lost. I suggest watching this incredible video by Neil that shows you what to look out for when it comes to enemy economy. Audio, besides some type of visual information, is the most important information to master in Counter-Strike. Enemy footsteps, gunfire, and the bomb being planted or defused are some of the most valuable pieces of information to be paying attention to during a round. I'm just going to run through some settings like I did previously for the radar. These will be the best audio settings to play with for the best advantage. Head to settings and then audio and make sure LR isolation is around 60 to 90%. This setting is crucial for being able to tell if an audio cue is being played from your left or your right. The first step to improving your awareness when thinking about audible information is to put yourself in your enemy's position before you do something that would make sound. For example, in a retake situation where you're the last player remaining, if you were to throw a piece of utility, this is what you may as well do for the enemy. One of the main things that kickstarted my road to improvement was understanding the idea that giving your opponents information about your whereabouts can very easily lose you a round. The best way to improve this awareness is to be constantly stingy about how much information you're giving to your opponent. And I don't mean just shifting everywhere all the time, but be consciously thinking about things that you're doing that would make noise. Using this to your advantage is a really easy skill to master. For example, if you know that an enemy is using an AWP and is in the same area that one of their teammates died, if you hear an AWP being dropped by this player, it's very safe to assume that they swapped their AWP for whatever gun their teammate was using. Footsteps are also very easy to master. Different materials will make different step noises on different maps. The most prominent example of this is the window jump on Mirage. If you're playing window and you're smoked off, if you hear steps on wood, it is possible that an enemy could be inside the smoke in window, giving you ample opportunity to get a free kill when the smoke fades. Utility being thrown, and especially smokes blooming, can be heard from across the map. If you're on B site and you hear multiple smokes coming towards A and you don't see anyone on B, it is very possible that it could be an A execute with smokes, and it would also be very useful to pass on the information that B is clear to your teammates. The last part of information I'm going to talk about this video is potential information. This type of information has a bunch of nuance that I'm not going to have time to cover in this video, so I would suggest after watching to check out some videos of coaches like Pinix and ISK, as they go into very nuanced and important fundamentals of potential information. Potential information are things that are possible or things that will happen 90% of the time but are not concrete. One example that I'll dive into is defaults for every map. Knowing these default positions will instantly improve your game sense and your ability to predict where your next enemy will be. Be mindful that defaults won't look the same for every game due to lower elos playing differently to higher elos, but I will be covering that too. Also, defaults can change on a round basis, mostly according to enemy economy. Noticing patterns is another huge way to win rounds stupidly easily. Being able to punish people making the same mistakes round after round could probably explain at least 20% of my wins on the way to level 10. If you see a CT that is ruthlessly pushing ramp every round on Mirage, next time you play the round, stand on an off angle and just wait for him to come to you. You could even ask a friend or a teammate to support you on a different angle for an even easier kill. The most important thing to mention as we're nearing the end of the video is something that I never realised was so important until I started paying attention more. And that is that having a free kill is so unbelievably powerful. Knowing that you can use the information given by an enemy to gain a man advantage is truly one of the best ways to win more rounds and gain more elo. This video is going to be one in a series of fundamentals to improve at Counter-Strike. I'm going to link the videos that I mentioned in this video in the description, so please check them out. Anyway, make sure you comment to let me know things I might have missed mentioning, and feel free to like or subscribe if you want to. I'd be extremely grateful. And I'll see you in level 10. Goodbye.